Good morning. Good morning. Hi. It's January. It's the 13th, 2022. We're starting off the year in the best way possible with the Hostos Student Leadership Academy annual winter workshop series. This morning is the last day of our workshops. I know you're sad about that, but we are going to inspire you and push you out the door with the best ideas, motivation to make positive change, and the the best sort of inspiration that you can have from some of our our favorite speakers. And this morning, I'm happy to introduce to you my good friend Shawn Dove, who, when pre-pandemic, when we did this every year in the multi-purpose room, Shawn was the first one to commit to saying yes, would be there, would be so happy to join us in January. So we're glad that he's here with us again because he got super busy. He's been making moves, writing books, doing some extraordinary stuff with his life, and he's here to talk about a lot of those things and to really sort of give you the motivation to really be the leaders that you want to be. And Sean, just as a reminder to you, we have students here not only from Hostos, but we actually have students from all over CUNY who are participating today. Some of our alumni, you may remember some of the folks. A lot of the folks are brand new, so I think they're really going to enjoy what you have to offer. And again, Sean, really excited that you were able to join us this year. It's so good to see you, and congratulations on all this great success that you're having. And I turn this workshop over to my good friend Shawn Dove.
Well, Jason, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy and thrilled to be here. Anytime Jason has invited me over, it feels like a decade. I don't know if it's been that long that I've been traveling up to the Bronx, 500 Grand Concourse Avenue, I think that was the address. I've said yes to Jason. Maybe one year I could not do it. And I've always gotten more inspiration than I've given over the years. And so I just wanted to take a moment to center ourselves. And even if you can, close your eyes, for a quick opening meditation. I believe that mindfulness is an essential part of leadership. Mindfulness begins with less looking out of the window, our leadership window, and a lot more of looking into our leadership mirror. I don't know who it was, Plato or whomever, that said the key to leadership is to know thyself and self-awareness. And so just let's breathe in a deep breath of grace and gratitude, giving ourselves grace and self-compassion. I don't know about you. Some of us are committed to like New Year, new resolutions, being very performative, goals, and pushing, pushing, pushing. And let's give ourselves some self-compassion. It's kind of hard doing this breathing exercise while talking about it. So I'm hoping that you have already exhaled and have not passed out because you're waiting for instructions to exhale. But as you exhale in this mindful moment, let's exhale fear. Let's exhale anxiety. Let's exhale comparison, right? Wow. We all experience that. I was doing some comparison. I was like, God, I wonder how all the other speakers were. Wonder how I stack up and will stack up against them. Let's breathe back in purpose, that we are all unique individuals. Your leadership journey is yours alone. It's so unique and so original that you were brought here to do something that no one else can do. And once we embrace that, comparison, performing, competing, all of that just goes out of the window. So I want to just welcome everyone. Excited to be here. So typically, and I can't see the chat, but I'm going to enlist Jason to work with me. And this one is just kind of get a sense of who is in the room. And typically, what I like folks to do is introduce themselves with a positive, asset-based, affirming adjective that begins with the first letter, the same first letter of their name, of their first name. All right, let me kind of explain that. I'll model it, right? It might seem a little confusing, right? And I apologize for the redundancy. This is like my 8th time coming, and if you've heard this beginning, repetition is a good thing, right? But for example, I could introduce myself as Sexy Shawn, or Strategic Shawn, or Spiritual Shawn, or Strong Shawn. Today I'm introducing myself as Serene Shawn. I used to jokingly say that my wife would not allow me to introduce myself as Sexy Shawn until I lost 40 pounds. Now I gotta lose 50. So I can't even introduce myself as Sexy Shawn, right? So I'm Serene Shawn, right? And so can you please just put in the chat? And Jason, I'm going to ask you to call out because I can't see the chat. And on my screen, I see Rayon, I see Monet, Briam, and Chisholm. So for an example, charismatic Chisholm. That's the only clue. So just let me know, Jason, call out who we have in the room. And the reason why this is important, because we get so much negativity from the outside. We get a lot of negativity from the inside. I don't know about you. In my leadership journey, I got to battle imposter syndrome and me telling myself what I can't do. So we got to be really intentional about affirming ourselves. Oh, maybe I do have access to the chat. Is that the chat? No, that's not the chat. Up there. So Jason, help me with introducing who do we have in the room?
So we have Resilient Rena, Cheerful Chisholm, Remarkable Rayon, Bold Briam, Caring Christina.
All right, time out. This is what we're gonna do. And as you know, this is free flowing. This is a conversation, not a presentation. Leadership is about owning our voices. It's about owning our visions. It's about owning our victories before they even happen. And let's own our voices. So what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves off of a mic. It might be a little bit messy, right? Leadership is messy. I already know what Jason's voice sounds like, right? And for those of you that don't know, I know that he knew I was going to get to this. Many years ago in doing this workshop, I think he self-proclaimed this. He one day proclaimed himself as showing up as Juicy Jason. And I have never let that go. So I don't care if he's feeling joyous. I don't care if he's feeling jumpy or jubilant. He will always forever be Juicy Jason to me. So as we ease into and traverse into this session today, why don't we have some folks take themselves off mic and introduce themselves. Who's the brave soul that wants to go up first with their
Guess I'll go. Charismatic Chance.
Charismatic Chance. Chance, you're not new to this, right? That sounds familiar. Is this
I believe this is my second one.
Okay.
I
think I remember a Charismatic Chance. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in.
Resilient Rena.
Mm.
Did you hear me?
I heard you, Resilient Rena, and I'm taking that too, resiliency. I can own that. Come on now, let's dive on in.
Rejoiceful Rhea.
Rejoiceful Rhea.
Joconda Judy.
Wow. One more time.
Joconda Judy.
Wow. Okay, I'm hearing them sirens in the background. You okay?
That's not my siren. I don't know.
Okay. Who's next?
Remarkable Rayon.
I like that.
Rapture Rose.
Rapture Rose. Wow. A lot of R's in the room.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Kim Lloyd. I'm gonna use two words that I have heard recently, which is beautiful queen.
All right. And what's your first name?
My first name is Kim.
With a K?
Yes.
And there's always, leaders also are rule breakers, right? And a verb and from.
Well, I can tell you that my name, Kim, means beautiful.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right. Beautiful Queen Kim. Okay.
Yes.
Couple more that want to introduce themselves. Put it in the chat as well, because I know we're keeping the chat information. There's always a bashful one or two in the mix in these workshops.
I said for my name, Bold Brian.
Bold Brian. And the challenge is, as we are like saying these out loud and we have to repeat it. I am one for affirmations and leadership. And some of you may have given yourself a positive, affirming title, but you may not yet believe it, right? And you got to keep repeating it, right? And if you're bold and you declared yourself bold, sometimes we don't feel so bold, but self-talk is important, right? And so we want you to write this down. We want you to believe it. I'll talk a little bit later about the importance of having leadership journals. But a couple of more for the introduction.
Hi, I'm Motivational Charles.
Motivational Charles. All right, Charles, so are you intentionally breaking the rules? If you were to give yourself an affirming adjective that began with the word C, which word would that be?
Courage.
Courageous Charles. All right, put some emojis in the chat box or whatever for courageous Charles. One more. Did we get everybody?
No, there's some in the chat. People, I see.
Exceptional Estelle.
Exceptional Estelle. Oh, I love that. Love that. Exceptional Estelle. Okay, so we're gonna keep it moving. Want to welcome everyone. God. So one of the quotes that I want to bring into the room is a quote by Arundhati Roy. And Arundhati Roy is a famous Indian novelist. And Arundhati Roy said almost 2 years ago at the outset of the pandemic, she said that historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. She went on to say, we can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. And I am personifying that quote from Arundhati Roy. For consecutive years, I used to do a workshop that was called Navigating the 7 C's of Deep End Leadership. Dope workshop, if I must say so myself. Interactive, when I would talk about 7 principles: calling, courage, completion, collaboration, credibility, change, and coaching. And I still do that workshop. Those principles are still important, still meaningful. And we all have a leadership courage. But this is a new season for me. And part of being a leader is giving yourself permission to begin anew. And I'm just wondering, God, who thought we would still be talking about a pandemic in 2022? Is there anybody that's leaving something in the past and passing through the pandemic of this portal and imagining your world anew? I'm in that category. For so many workshops up in the Bronx, I had threatened to write a book. I had threatened and said that it was coming. I even challenged you all to discover your G spot and become a gold digger. What's he talking about? We'll get to the G spot a little bit later. And I'm thrilled to say that we just released I Too Am America on Loving and Leading Black Men and Boys by Shawn Dove and Nick Childs, my co-author. And when Jason asked me to come again to speak and talk about the leadership workshop, to participate and contribute, I said, I gotta do something different. I gotta talk about I Too Am America and this journey and this moment in time and be able to just share my story, because Maya Angelou says there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. So I'm leaving the Navigating 7 C's of Deep End Leadership behind me, all right? But I brought some folks to help me with this workshop. There is a saying and an African adage that I am sure you have all heard, that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So I've brought some people with me to help me and usher me through this workshop session. I've brought so many of my ancestors. I've brought my family, the Dove Nest, with me, my wife and my 4 children. But who is that right there, right? This is gonna be interactive, right? I don't even know how to the breakout rooms, Jason, so we're not gonna do breakout rooms. This is gonna be just a free-for-all party. But who can tell me that who's in that screen right there?
Is that Ella Fitzgerald? No,
No,
that's
not
not.
Emmett Till.
and his mom.
All right, so we got Emmett Till. So we got half the characters and and folks in the picture, right? Who is the other person? Somebody said her mom, his mom. That is correct.
And Mammy.
Yeah, that's his mother.
Who is
That's
that?
his mother.
What's his mother's name? Say her name.
Amy.
Mammy.
Mamie Till Mobley, right? And I'm a leader in the Black Male Achievement Movement. And I'm bringing the spirit of Emmett Till and what in 1955 this country did to him. And yes, it was an act of men in Money, Mississippi, but it was the spirit of an oppressive white supremacist nation that lynched and murdered him. But I'm especially bringing in the spirit of Mamie Till Mobley. And in fact, last week and this week, there's a series, I think it's on ABC, The Woman of the Movement, that tells her story. Woman of the Movement, there's actually a motion picture coming out this year called Mamie. And I'm bringing in the courage, the foresight, the turning pain into purpose of Mamie Till Mobley. And this is what Mamie Till Mobley said. She said, we are only given a certain amount of time to do what we were sent here to do. You don't have to be around a long time to share the wisdom of a lifetime. You just have to use your time wisely, efficiently. There is no time to waste. One of my leadership mantras is tomorrow is not guaranteed. So stop stalling on your calling and just dive in. I'm sure that everyone on this Zoom can list a name or two or three of individuals that didn't make it into 2022, that have fallen victim to the pandemic, have fallen victim to senseless violence, some whose time is just up and have lived good lives. We give a moment of silence for courageous leadership spirits like Sidney Poitier and Lonnie Guinier, the groundbreaking civil rights attorney that passed away last week rather. And so let us take a moment of silence and think about who do you want to bring in with you in this moment, in this room, and on your leadership journey? What ancestor that you want to call in? And I want to call in the spirit of my grandmother and my grandfather, Lucy and Shawn Dove. Let's call some ancestors and those no longer with us that are inspiring you into the room. Y'all might as well just leave yourselves off mic or off mute. Help me here. I'm trying to make this interactive. Call in some ancestors, whether known or not known, that you know historically.
Hi. Well,
Bring
if
in
I'm
the names.
well, my mother, Adela Lloyd, my sister, Deborah Lloyd, and my aunt, Bernice Jenkins.
Thank you. Let's go. Let's bring in some more ancestors. Let's come on. In spirits. I'd also bring in the innovative spirit of George Washington Carver and the creative publishing and a fighting spirit of Ida Bay Wells. Bring in some other spirits and ancestors. And
I'm bringing in the great Marcus Garvey.
yes, thank you. Come on, let's bring in some more. Who else is with us in this room?
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes, come on. Who else?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks, I heard. All right. Couple more. Bring in some more.
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, yes. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. I'm also bringing in the spirit of Terry Williams. She is a mentor of mine, and this is National Mentoring Month. Terry is a pioneering leader in the public relations field. She is also has been an advocate for mental health and us just shedding the mask of depression in our community. One of her books is called Black Pain. It just looks like we're not hurting. Terry is, she's afflicted with dementia, and she's in a long-term care facility, but I'm bringing her into this a session with me, this leadership gathering. Terry said to me one day, what you think could be your curse could be your blessing in disguise. And I want you to think about what is it in your life that once upon a time you thought was your curse, but was truly and actually your blessing in disguise? What is it in your present moment that you think is your curse that you can turn into your blessing in disguise? And there's one other thing that Terry said to me, and actually it wasn't just to me. Terry said it to a group of young people. I used to run a youth newspaper in Harlem called Harlem Overheard when I was working at the Harlem Children's Zone. It was called Harlem Overheard, and I brought her in to speak. This was back in the 90s. And Terry said to the young people, she said, if you are not leaving your house most mornings, going to school, going to work with butterflies in your stomach because of what you were called to do, what the Creator, what God called you to do, your life is pathetic. I was like, God, that's kind of harsh, Terry. But it's true, it's like butterflies, right? And that's stretching. And she's always challenged me. And so I could have shown up today and did the workshop that I've done for years, and I can do that in my sleep. But this is a new workshop. And I want Terry to know that I got butterflies in my stomach, right? But Terry is with me today. A few other folks I'm bringing with me. One of my artistic heroes is Gil Scott Heron. This is a cover of his memoir. And Gil Scott Heron, y'all may remember Gil Scott Heron from the Revolution will not be televised. He was a poet, an activist, a musician, played a significant role working with Stevie Wonder in a concert tour around the country to elevate the legislative change for declaring a holiday that we're going to be celebrating on Monday, MLK Day. He was behind that. And what Gil Scott Heron said is that I am a Black man dedicated to expression of the joy and pride of Blackness. I consider myself neither poet, composer, or musician. These are merely tools used by sensitive men to carve out a piece of beauty or truth that they hope may lead to peace and salvation. These are merely tools used by sensitive men and women, I'm adding to his quote, to carve out a piece of beauty or truth that they hope may lead to peace and salvation. And I want you to think about, what are your leadership tools? A couple of other folks I want to bring into the room, and one of my heroes is Muhammad Ali. And this is Muhammad Ali in 1965 in a rematch of Sonny Liston, knocked him out in the first minute of the first round. And Muhammad Ali said, champions are made from something they have deep inside of them. A desire, a dream, a vision. They have to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. And in my work, in my leadership, I've had an opportunity to partner with and work with billionaires in philanthropy. And everybody can't be a billionaire, but everybody can be a willionaire. Everybody can have the will for the change. Everyone can have the will for leadership. And Ali said, but the will must be stronger than the skill. And he says you have to have inside of you a dream, a desire, a vision. Who has a leadership vision inside of them? And what is it? Who wants to jump in, right? This is going to be interactive. This whole Zoom thing, y'all been Zooming all week. We want to make this interactive. I need to hear from someone who wants to volunteer and share a leadership desire, a dream, or vision that they have inside of them.
I will.
And who are we? When we introduce ourselves, remember, we're going to use our affirming adjective to introduce ourselves. So who is that?
You mean you want me to call myself beautiful queen?
That's right. You know, this is when you say I am, this is beautiful Queen Kim. And then tell us what your leadership, what dream, what vision, what goal you have inside of you.
Okay. Hi everyone. Beautiful Queen Kim. My dream is to work with senior citizens. I feel that they are a group of people that's forgotten about because they became old. And I feel that in they last, not their last days, but the time that they do have on this earth, they should be happy. They should be able to enjoy life until life comes to the proper end. And what I have been seeing during this pandemic is that that's not happening. That's not the way I was raised up. I was raised up to respect our elders, to give them honor and respect them until they go up to heaven. And what I see now is like, I'm so unhappy about it because it's like they're being ignored because they don't know the proper things to do with when it comes down to technology, or they might not know how to communicate with the young because there's a generation gap. And it makes me sad because the way I was raised up, we were supposed to respect our elders. We was pray when I was young, they used to tell us you should pray that you do become older to see how the world really is. And now that I'm older and I see how the world really is, it makes me sad because when I was growing up, I wanted to get older. I wanted to be mature enough to help my community and to help everyone who needed to be helped. I remember the music I grew up with Earth, Wind, and Fire and Marvin Gaye and oh God, and how they all talked about the community and love. And now I don't see that. I just see everyone going for self, and it bothers me. I think we should come back to some of those ways of the ways I was raised up as to we help each other as a community and not as self.
Wow. Yo, let's give beautiful Queen Kim some love in the chat. Thank you for sharing that a vision. Nothing happens until it is spoken. There is power in the spoken word. coming up, and as a child, I was really into comic books, and one of my favorite comic books was the Fantastic Four, and one of the superheroes in that on that team was the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. And the thing about the Human Torch, he would never turn into the Human Torch until he made a declaration. What was that declaration? Any of y'all remember or know what that declaration? What did he say? What did he speak before he turned into the Human Torch? Flame on. Flame on. So thank you, beautiful Queen Kim, for speaking that into the universe. And I like to say, be careful what you declare, because it just might appear. There's a Gnostic gospel that says, if you bring forth what is inside of you, it will save you. If you do not bring forth what is inside of you, it will destroy you. And I had to bring forth this book, I Too Am America, on loving and leading Black men and boys, because it was something that was inside of me. I was talking about it, dreaming about it, journaling about it, and I had to bring it forth. Oh, I need one more person to share what Muhammad Ali talks about, having something deep inside of you, a desire, a dream, a vision. Who else wants to jump in the ring with me and beautiful Queen Kim and share their desire, their leadership dream, their leadership vision?
I'll share. My name is Rhea. I chose adjective. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so nervous right now. The adjective I use is rejoiceful, because I'm so grateful to be here right now. So my goal this semester, or like the rest of my life, is to become part of the change for the world to become better. My goal is to equip myself with the necessary knowledge and skills into becoming an effective steering committee member of BMCC's Race, Equity, and Inequality organization. So that's the reason why I'm so thankful to be here, because I'm learning a lot. So that's it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, rejoiceful Rhea. And I will tell you what, I heard that rejoicefulness in your voice. You said that you was nervous. I didn't hear nervousness. I heard rejoiceful Rhea. Wow. And that was so clear. That was so articulate. And we got to practice speaking into existence, not only our affirming adjective, but our visions, and speaking it into existence. Are you already on the committee that you talked about, Rhea?
Yes, I am. I'm actually part of the strengthening the curriculum and pedagogy of BMCC.
Excellent. And that's what I Too Am America is at its essence about. That we are not waiting for any cavalry to come and save the day in our communities, in our colleges, our schools, in our neighborhoods, in our companies. That we are the iconic leaders that we have been waiting for, the curators of the change we're seeking to see. And I'm also, listen, I got a crew with me. I got a whole crew. I don't know about y'all. When I step into a room, I step into a workshop, I'm not alone, right? I used to grow up, when I was growing up, there was this term called static. And static was like beef, right? And if folks came and said like, yo, there was some beef, there's some static. We got static with this crew on 87th Street or this crew uptown. It all depended on how courageous I felt. Was like, who was with me? If only Skinny Lenny was with me, I was like, well, maybe this might not be a good day for static. I might go, but I'm like extra scared. But if someone said that there was some static, And I got Big Mike with me. I got Squeaky with me. And I got Roughneck with me. And everybody got a roughneck in their crew that just don't care. They just looking for, like if there's not a fight to be called to, they're gonna start one, right? And so I brought so many folks with me, and I'm bringing Langston Hughes with me. And Langston Hughes, I'm gonna read his poem because his poem we borrowed the title of this iconic 1926 Harlem Renaissance poet, writer, his poem, I Too. And this is what Langston Hughes wrote in 1926. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. And we borrowed that title from the book. And where we are in this country, and where we are as social justice leaders, and where we are and if you don't see yourself as a social justice, racial justice, social change leader, guess what? You are. And I'm here to say that, I'm kind of disappointed for Langston Hughes, because Langston Hughes in his poetic prophecy, he had hoped and he said that besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. I think that we are in a time in this country, leaders, that I don't know if America is capable of feeling shame for its racist practices, its oppression, its discrimination, its division, not only of Black people and Black men who I lead representing, but for all people of color, indigenous people, LGBTQ people. And I was like, I don't think so. And I think that what we experienced a year ago on January 6th in the Capitol is emblematic of America not being able to feel shame. And not all of America, right? There's folks that are in power. And I went and I did some research and I said, who's incapable of feeling shame? And it's folks that are sociopathological and narcissists. And that is the fight that we're in. That is the I Too America that we are in. And while I don't have a picture of him, the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. is with me in the ring. That's right, I got an entourage and a crew. And Martin Luther King Jr. in his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? So Zoom has a lot of disadvantages. I'm an in-person facilitator, right? I like to be in a room, like to move around. I like to see faces. I like to get eye contact. Those of you that have been in my workshops, you all know that, right? But what I do like about Zoom is I can impromptu pull a book from my shelf. And this book that I'm calling is Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. This was the last book that Martin Luther King Jr. wrote before his assassination. This book came out in 1967. And one of the things he said in this book, Where Do We Go From Here? He said, conflicts are unavoidable because a stage has been reached in which the reality of equality will require extensive adjustments in the way of life of some of the white majority. Many of our former supporters will fall by the wayside as the movement presses against financial privilege. Others will withdraw as long-established cultural privileges are threatened. During this period, we will have to depend on the creative minority of true believers. It will take such a small, committed minority to work unrelentingly to win the uncommitted majority. Such a group may well transform America's greatest dilemma into her most glorious opportunity. He talked about it will take a small, committed minority to work unrelentingly to win the uncommitted majority. Such a group may well transform America's greatest dilemma into her most glorious opportunity. And we're going to take a pause, a moment. We're not doing any breakout groups, but I want folks to kind of jump in and say, how can you as a leader, right? We're not waiting for the cavalry. You are the iconic leaders on this screen. We got Rejoiceful Rhea is one of those iconic leaders. I don't have the full screen in front of me. I'm trying to figure out how I can see some more faces, but I need a volunteer or two to speak into the room, into the universe, and how and what you are doing or you hope to do to be part of that minority of true believers. And what is your leadership going to do to change this country, this world, and to create America that we've never seen? Who can be so bold and creative? I need another.
I guess I'll go this time.
All right, thank you.
Well, what I am.
All right, you got to introduce yourself. Who is this?
Doing. This is Charismatic Chant speaking.
All right.
And what I'm doing at the moment is building my own community where we normally interact, we play cards and other little things. But whenever we get the opportunity, and I always bring up like a little project, whatnot, to pull other people into the fold without cards or anything, we'll do like a little donation drive or whatever the case. The way I see it is that by doing so to whomever, whether it's the Jewish community or whether it's just, the homes out here, it helps to shape the minds of those individuals out there that still have this belief that, this is a self journey, that this is not something that we share or a purpose we share. A lot of people don't really care, because I have a few friends like that have been afflicted with all sorts of things that don't feel like they care. So what we do out there is that we are reminding the community that we are still a community, that we are still in this together, whether it's a pandemic, whether or not, we're on different sides of the field for politics, whether we have different religions, whether or not, we even get into a fight with each other at the bar and stuff, we're still a community. Resolve it, and then we come together. We have our differences, but it's just that everyday reminder and affirmation that you are still valued, that you are still somebody to us. So that's what we do on a regular, like once a month, we might do a little trip, or we just, have a little gathering or whatnot, like at my place or at another actual cafe, so that people can come in and see that community.
Wow, that's inspiring, Charismatic Chants. And does your group have a name?
At the moment, it's just NYC Cards and Community.
NYC Cards and Community. I love it. I love it. And there are so many amazing, incredible things that are happening now that was just the seed of an idea of what you described earlier, what you just described. And so stick with it, right? It's funny. I was just reading from a book. God, where was this? There's this book called The Law of Divine Compensation that talked about that the things that we, okay. And they're talking about, she was talking about, it's by Marianne Williamson. And there's a quote in here that says, sometimes what will later make us a fortune arrives first as a creative impulse that no one would necessarily think profitable at the time. And while she's talking about money and enterprise, it also applies to ideas like what you've created, Charismatic Chant. So thank you for that. And something that you said that, you know, an everyday reminders and affirmations, and I appreciated that. One more volunteer. Let's give some love to Charismatic Chants in the chat. Who else? One more brave soul.
Hi, this is beautiful Queen Kim. I'm tired of the labels. It seems like everything has a label now. When are we just gonna be a people that need help, to just help another person because they just need help? I'm just tired of the labels. We're people. We're in a pandemic and we need help. So we need to start helping each other. I'm tired of the labels.
Whew. And you just brought in the indomitable spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer. Beautiful. When you are sick and tired of being, what, did I get your label wrong?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I know I put two positive words together, but I'm gonna give you a reason why I put those two positive words together. It was one time, I remember one time I was in the street and I was getting in a cab and this gentleman came out of the cab. He called me beautiful. Okay, no one never called me beautiful. I remember that.
Wow.
About 2-3 days ago today, I was out on the street. I was going to Jane Reed to pick up something at Jane Reed, and a gentleman came out and he called me a queen. Never seen the man before. So when you said to put two words together, or just put a positive word together to describe me, I'm describing what the two men said to me. I'm not trying to boast off my ego. This was what was said to me in passing. So I'm not trying to, this is what was said to me.
Yep.
To me, I'm just a person who's trying to live a good life out here in a positive way. And I like to use positive words to describe what's going on in the world. Now I know some negative words I can say too, but that's not, I don't want to say those words, you know, because I hear too much negativity out here in the world, in the street. So I picked those two words, beautiful queen, because those are two words I had heard lately from a stranger who didn't know me from Adam, said to me. So
and I love it because what is it they say? You know, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Juicy Jason knows that in the 7 C's of deep end leadership, we read the poem that Nelson Mandela got credit for, but the poem was written by Marianne Williamson that talks about our deepest fear is not our darkness, but it's our light. And it talks about, we say to ourselves, who are we to be fabulous and who are we to be gorgeous? And it talks about that us shrinking and playing small does not serve the world. And so definitely own it. And sometimes, actually a lot of times, people see things in us before we see it in ourselves, right? In this leadership journey. And you shared something in that story, and this is all about storytelling, right? There's so much at the heart and essence of leadership is, telling stories and living your own story. One of the leaders in my network, Travian Shorters, he says, we lead the lives of the stories we tell about ourselves. But you all have power. Beautiful Queen Kim said that this man said to her that she was beautiful, and no one had ever said that to her before, and she's never forgotten it. An example of your power of leadership in a moment. God, I remember I did my first 2 years of high school at Brooklyn Technical High School. I got a scholarship to go away to this prep school called Lawrence Academy up in the boonies of Massachusetts. And I got this prep school scholarship because I was involved in this youth program called the Dome Project on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And Dome stood for developing opportunities with meaningful education. And I was in this new environment. I went from classes of 40 students in Brooklyn Tech, very diverse, downtown Brooklyn, and to this campus-like environment in the sticks of Massachusetts, small classes of 12 students. There were 300 students on campus and only 12 of us were Black. I was playing football. And I remember one of our first games, I was playing wide receiver. And I was more of a basketball player, but you had to play a sport in each season. And it was at the end of the game. Pro, pass, post was the name of the play. It was a post pattern, right? I was wide open in the end zone. Wide open. Quarterback threw me the ball, went right through my hands. That's right, this was the first game. First game of the season. From the sidelines, Coach Draper, may he rest in peace. This is 1978. Coach Draper yelled from the sidelines, same play, same play. Everybody knew what was coming because he was yelling same play. The defense knew, folks in the stands knew, I knew, scared to death. Said, why he calling the same play? I just dropped a pass in the end zone. We ran the same play. This time, I had 3 defenders draped over me because they knew that the ball was coming to me because it was the same play. But this time, I rose above, snatched the football in the end zone, and scored the game-winning touchdown. They gave me a nickname called the Vacuum. And I was like, that gave me celebrity and it gave me identity in this new environment. And I really didn't understand it at the time, but in retrospect, Coach Draper could have said, get your ass on the sideline. You dropped a wide open pass. You were wide open. And sat me on the bench for that mistake. But in that moment, he believed in me enough to say the same play. And I caught that touchdown. And I'll never, ever forget that moment. That was a leadership moment. That was an I to America on loving and leading Black men and boys moment. That was a moment that we just heard described by beautiful Queen Kim. So I want you to know that you have power in your words, leaders, right? So as you know, we're ad-libbing, right? And didn't plan on telling that story. But I want to hear one more story of your vision. Who else has a quick 1 to 2 minute story on how your leadership skills, you intend to use them, your tools, to change the world? Someone we haven't heard from yet. Don't let me go in gallery mode and start calling some names, because I will do that. I can only see 6 squares, and Briam is in my square. I see Monet and Chisholm and Jason and Rayon. But I need somebody else to share with us and to speak into existence how they're going to use their gifts and talents to be part of that minority of true believers to address America's greatest dilemma. All right, we're gonna keep it moving then. So, you know, one thing that Jason did not do in his impromptu introduction of me, he didn't tell you that I had a PhD from UCLA. And that's the university on the corner of Lenox Avenue. And it was there on this exact corner and growing up in my youth that I learned many of the most valuable lessons that I would ever need to know in playing the games and watching the games of my youth. Games like freeze tag. And I don't know if you grew up with that game. I think there's some folks in my generation on this call, or maybe a little bit younger, and didn't spend a whole lot of time playing video games or in the house or whatever, but freeze tag was one of the games, right? And when I love freeze tag, and y'all know how freeze tag works, right? You know, somebody is it, bro.
Yes.
For the game.
Yes.
That's right. You remember that, right?
Yes. Yes, I remember that. I remember playing tag, Johnny on the Pony.
All right. You remember hot peas and butter?
Yes.
Oh,
I remember playing Skelzy in the streets.
Oh my God. All right.
What else do I remember? I remember stickball in the street.
So let me tell you the lessons that I learned just playing these games, right? And y'all remember, and who's that? That's beautiful Queen that's remembering and reminiscing with me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We used to have to gather on the stoop, and we would need to put our feet in a circle, and someone would say, engine number 9 going down Chicago line. If the train falls off the track, do you want your money back? And you have to say either yes or no. And then the person would say Y-E-S spells yes, and you are not it. And we went through that whole thing before choosing who would be it, right? And the thing about when you were it and freeze tag, the object of the game was to tag everybody and have them frozen in place. And the thing about freeze tag was, if you were not frozen, you have the capability of tagging somebody else and unfreezing them. And the problem, and the deep leadership problem that we have in this country is this. We have so many people frozen in poverty, frozen in racial and gender discrimination, frozen in health inequity, frozen in racism, frozen in voter suppression. And what I loved when I was playing that game, I loved tagging as many people and freeing them. I was a Harriet Tubman of freeze tag. And the problem we have now is there's so many people that are free playing freeze tag. And all they care about is that they're free. They ain't touching anybody else. When Jason called me, will you do a workshop? Will you do a talk this year? Yes, because I'm hoping that I can just touch one person that might feel frozen today. And just for today, feel unfrozen, more hopeful, and saying, I got some gifts, some skills, I have some purpose to change the world, right? And so my challenge to you, two things. If you are free, touch somebody else. And that may be through a word, that may be through creating cards and change, if I got that right chance. That may be telling the vision and sharing the vision of what you want to do on the racial equity committee that we heard from Rejoiceful Reina, right? That's a touch, that's inspiring, because Rejoiceful Reina, somebody heard that and they were like, if she can do that, I can do that. So that's one piece in touching. But the other piece is, when I was like running around and I wasn't it, and people saw that I was tagging other people, they would call me, Shawn, come tag me, come tag me. You gotta ask for help. If you're frozen, you have got to ask for help. Come tag me. And there were other games on that corner in the university of, on the corner of Lenox Avenue, UCLA. The older guys used to be playing craps, and I used to hear them saying, scared money can't win, scared money don't win. I used to wonder, God, that don't make no sense. What does that mean? I didn't understand that until I was old enough to get into the crap game myself, and craps is rolling dice. And that meant is, if you weren't brave enough to make a bet, you weren't winning. So if you were scared to bet, there's no way you're gonna win. Scared money don't win. So having some courage. One of the other games that were on the corner of 119th Street, it was mostly girls, but not all girls, was double dutch. And I used to always wanna jump in, and I would act, and I would be rocking back and forth like I was gonna jump in. But I would never jump in because I didn't know how to do double dutch. And that's when I came up with, and remembering that, to stop stalling on your calling and just jump in. How many of us are doing the double dutch dance on our leadership journey, and we are not jumping in? We are not jumping in. You're rocking back and forth, rocking back and forth. So what if you jump in and the rope messes up? So what? And I couldn't get in front of Jason one more time and say that, because part of my calling is to write, inspire, and speak success principles and leadership and spiritual and racial justice and social justice principles without practicing what I preach. So those are the lessons that I learned at UCLA. And that was me on the steps of the Dome Project with two of my best friends. And we have so many stories to tell. And it was the Dome Project when I walked down into the basement to join their basketball team, where I found this community of caring adults and young people. My mentor, John Simon, was also my basketball coach and my tutor. That skinny Lenny in the black jacket, we used to call him Puppet because of the way he danced. And that was Dave from the Amsterdam housing community on 61st and 63rd Street in Amsterdam Avenue. We called him Sad Sack because he always had these bags under his eyes. And that's me on a bad hair day. And that was my team. That was my crew. And we are still together. This picture taken almost 45 years later. As you can see, we all lost hair and gained a whole lot of weight. And one of the most powerful things in your college experience, your leadership academy experience, whether you're an alum, it's about networking and it's about staying connected, because you don't know the person that's sitting next to you in your class or the box that's next to you on the Zoom. Could be the person that you're doing business with, could be the person that you want to hire for your company, for your enterprise. So networking is staying connected. And so in my I2 America journey, this was one of my moments of just leadership. I had the opportunity to work with a team of folks to help President Obama launch I2 America, not I2 America, my brother's keeper, right? And this was a moment in the White House in September of 2013. And I actually write about this in the book. And the book is equal parts memoir telling my story. It's equal parts telling the stories of two young brothers, Jamari from Detroit and Romero in Oakland. And it's also a manifesto of where do we go from here, where we have folks include mini manifestos. I don't remember what I was saying in this moment to the president. I was animated. But let me tell you what I write about. This is in chapter 9 of my book. It's entitled, "The President is Looking for You." And I start off with this quote. "I am asking you to believe not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours, President Barack Obama." And I write, in 2013, after a Florida jury acquitted George Zimmerman for the killing of Trayvon Martin, the Black community was rocked by shock and broiling anger. On a brutally hot July day in the New York metropolitan area, with the afternoon temperature inching toward 100 degrees, I was having my own moments of frustration, trying to figure out how an organization dedicated to the upliftment of Black boys could respond in a meaningful, proactive way. I was driving along Route 22 in central New Jersey on my way home when I got a curious text from Ebony Editor-in-Chief Kieran Mayo. "The president is looking for you." 6 words that to me were incomprehensible. Which president? The president of what? Since I was driving, I didn't bother to ask her what was she talking about. But when I reached the house and turned on CNN, I quickly figured it out. President Obama had given a speech from the White House at 1:33 p.m., responding to the Zimmerman verdict. I sat down and watched the excerpts that kept playing on the news. It was one of those momentous occasions when the nation's first Black president dared to speak frankly to his country about race, Black men and boys, and their perilous history in this nation. "You know," in my President Obama voice, "when Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago." And when you think about why, in the African American community at least, there's a lot of pain around what happened here, I think it is important to recognize that the African American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and a history that doesn't go away. There are very few African-American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very few African-American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happened to me, at least before I was a senator. There are very few African Americans who haven't had the experience of getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously and holding her breath until she had a chance to get off. That happens to me. Then the president went on to lay out preliminary plans that felt like he was speaking to me directly, just like I felt hearing Susan L. Taylor's comments in a packed Harlem Elementary School auditorium some 16 years ago. And then I write about, or I quote what the president said in his speech. And part of that was, he said, now the question for me at least, and I think for a lot of folks, is where do we take this? How do we learn from lessons from this and move in a positive direction? He goes on to say, I'm not naive about the prospects of some grand new federal program. I'm not sure that that's what we're talking about here. But I do recognize that as president, I've got some convening power, and there are a lot of good programs that are being done across the country on this front. And for us to be able to gather together business leaders and local elected officials and clergy and celebrities and athletes and figure out how are we doing a better job for helping young African-American men feel that they're a full part of this society and they've got pathways and avenues to succeed. I later write, after quoting the president in this pivotal speech, my mind immediately went into overload. Had the president of the United States basically just spoken about committing the resources of the world's richest economy to address the issues that I spend every hour of every day obsessing over? What did this mean for the work and future of CBMA? I ran to my computer and fired off an email to George Soros' assistant, Kim, who I knew would forward it to Soros. I said in the email that in the aftermath of the president's speech, we should make a bold investment of $100 million to launch the corporation for Black male achievement. Little did I know that Kim not only forwarded emails to Soros, but she also sent them to another guy who was very close to Soros, kind of like his concierge. He didn't take long for the concierge to call me and inform me that I was no longer allowed to send direct emails to Mr. Soros. I had gotten busted trying to make an end run around the bureaucracy. And in this chapter 9, I go on to tell how I got a call from Joshua Dubois from the White House, and how Joshua Dubois called me and my colleague Rashid Shabazz to the White House to help figure out how to respond to that speech. And I just tell the story on how we got to this a moment in time. And I can tell you right now, it is just so surreal even reading this to you, because the book just came out and haven't had many opportunities to share my story, to read from the book. And I'm just like so blessed and so grateful. And my question to you leaders are, what's the story that you have inside of you? Because it's been inside of you for a long time. My book in the introduction begins with a poem that I wrote in 1988. The poem goes like this. Whilst that poetry in motion, I stopped to look for a brother with ways to write a book. Arrange round me with the story to tell, a billion brothers who know all too well about unwritten words that unwillingly die, before bred and bound and able to fly. Why do my brother's words wear weights of woe? My ears to the ground, I'm dying to know. We must give our words wings so they can sing a song for all brothers they will bring. The ability to fly, to dream, and to soar, it's to you, my brothers, these words are for. To give your words a life, you must sit and write your story with tales of what life is like. Do me a favor and set your words free, because I need to hear them. Do it for me. I wrote that poem in 1988, almost 34 years ago. And I wrote it at a time when I was at the tail end of my drug addiction. I don't know if I shared earlier that, I have more than 33 years in recovery. But when I recovered this poem, as I was writing the book, I said, Shawn, you already knew what your calling was. And this poem was part of a book of basketball players that combined poetry in their writing that we called word poetry in motion, off-court reflections. And I said, you already knew. This poem was seeds to this book. And so leaders, I ask you, what's inside of you? What's inside of you that you are already called to do, that you are ignoring, that you are looking for a something else and saying, no, that's not it? What are you pregnant with as a leader? And I'm not talking about the stuff that's very easy for you to do. What is your I too am America? And what I love about this book is I took a lot of folks on this journey with me. I mentioned the African proverb earlier. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This book has taken me 59 years to write. Got a co-author, good brother Nick Child that I've known for 35 years. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning author. He has written books for not only his own, but for Reverend Al Sharpton. He has a book out this year that he wrote for Jamie Foxx, Bobby Brown's book. Susan L. Taylor has written a foreword. She's a mentor of mine. She used to be the editor-in-chief of Essence Magazine and is now the founding executive director of CARE's mentoring movement. I remember Susan said to me in a packed auditorium, she said it to the audience, but I felt she said it to me back in 1997. The essence of success is that you have to show up fit, focus, organize, discipline, and with a plan. My mentor, Alfonso Wyatt, wrote the afterword. No, he wrote the epilogue. So I brought so many people along the way. And I want you to judge this book by its cover. The designer of the cover is a young man named Saladin Betts, who I've known for almost 30 years. I met him while I was running the Beacon School in Harlem. Yeah, early 90s. He was a graffiti artist. I watched him transform into a graphic design artist because he was part of the youth newspaper. And on that cover is Saladin's son, Sadiq. Sadiq, 20 years old right now. I think he's 21. At the time of this picture, it was taken on 125th Street in the summer of 2020, at the height of the protests in response to the murder of George Floyd. And the reason why I want you to judge this book by its cover is Saladin, somebody I believed in a long time ago and allowed him to take his creative talents and to be the creative director of this newspaper. And he took that and he ran with it. But his son, Sadiq, is autistic and he's non-verbal. But he is on the cover of a book that is being distributed globally, draped with the American flag. And he is declaring to the world, although that he is not physically able to speak, he is still making a powerful declaration to the world. I too am America. And this is why I want you to judge the book by its cover. And we have folks that have contributed many manifestos. Dr. Jackie Bouvier Copeland, in her essay, in her mini manifesto, she says, justice for Black people requires a nuanced intersectional gender lens, recognizing the specific impacts for men, women, as well as queer people are all interconnected. The chief strategy of white supremacy and the oppressive society is divide and conquer. The moment Martin Luther King started organizing poor people of all races was the moment that he became a threat. The moment Fred Hampton took his Black Panther ideology in Chicago and started partnering with poor white labor unions, Chicanos on the other side of Chicago, he became a threat. And so we have to have intersectional. And so voices like Jackie Copeland is in the book. Voices like my good friend and a mentee, Richard Taylor, who is an advocate for health and healing and therapy, who has survived suicide to tell his story. And he says in his mini manifesto, even our work as heroes and influencers, we are humans that still need to be replenished and healed. I write about in the book, at the tail end of my addiction, my plan to commit suicide, to step on the tracks at Penn Station and grab the third rail. And I write about how God infused in me in that time, it's not your time. And I got on the train and headed up to Veritas Therapeutic Community and began my recovery journey. And if I would have jumped on those tracks, would not have been the father of Nehemiah, Cameron, and Caleb, married to my divine mate, Desiree, and all the things that I've managed to do in the last 33 years would have never happened. And I say that to someone who's going to hear this, whether now or later, who's wondering, is there a reason to live? And we are losing so many people because they feel like they don't have a reason to live. And all of that is in my book, I Too Am America. And before I lean into the conclusion and the closing, I wanted to pause and just take a moment and to exhale and express my gratitude and my self-compassion and for you all just allowing me this to like practice, to do something new. Right, we have until 12 o'clock, right, Juicy Jason? Okay, and I just wanted to open the mic and just get some reflections and some responses to what you've heard about leadership, about what you heard about your journey. Somebody may be talking and still on mute.
Hello.
Yes.
I'd like to get one of your books.
Yeah, who is that? Beautiful Queen?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna make sure you get one. I've been trying to convince Jason to buy a bunch to distribute, right? Hopefully that will happen. But I want you to make sure, and I'm gonna give everybody, Jason, if you can put my email in the chat, right? Shawn@doveswords.com. And I'm gonna make sure you get a copy of the book, right? And what I wrote inside the book when it came out, I did a dedication, and I wrote on November 25th, 2021. This is one of the early copies. Dear God, thank you. That could be it. Yes, that 2-word worship and praise of and for your presence in my life. Thank you for it all. I pray that this book serves as a seed and a catalyst to blossom and cultivate a flourishing community of leaders, lovers, and leapers and writers who together will believe and blossom a reimagined America where Black men and boys and all people feel love, safety, and belonging. This, God, is my offering. I pray that you will multiply and parlay it beyond my wildest dreams. Any other responses, thoughts, insights, feedback? We're gonna make sure beautiful Queen Kim, you get a copy. But want to hear some voices and visions in the room, some reflections, some thoughts.
I would like to say something. This is Rejoiceful Rhea. A lot of the things that you have said have really resonated with me, and they're truly, truly inspiring. But one of the things that that I am going to remember, and I have to be mindful about this, is that I have to believe in myself, because I cannot pour from an empty cup. So I have to know and love and learn to be, like, to show up as my authentic self. So because that's the only way to actually really be effective in being a leader.
Wow, thank you for that. Rejoiceful Rhea, right?
Yes, thank you.
That is so powerful. And I just know, just from you sharing, God, you have so much in you to give. And one thing you just said, and I want to just repeat for everyone, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And 3 things that I encourage all leaders to have in their life and to utilize. One is a mentor, and mentors and folks to help guide you and pave the way, and maybe in your same industry, right? A mentor. I'm sure Juicy Jason is a mentor to some of you, right? I'm sure you are mentors to others. That's one. The other is an executive coach or a life coach to help you with your goals, your future vision, and your strategy. Many companies and organizations, they provide coaching for their workforce and their leaders. In a way, these workshops are a form of coaching. So you need a mentor, you need a coach, and you also need a therapist. We have experienced so much trauma in our lives, individual trauma, community trauma, family trauma, and therapy is essential. I would not have been able to finish this book without being in therapy. Every Thursday at 4 p.m., I am in therapy. And in the afterword, I write in the book, our I Too Am America stories too often normalize trauma for Black people in this nation, tricking us into believing that the pain, the poverty, the violence, and senseless deaths are all normal parts of the Black experience. This is a lie. We must stop believing it ourselves and feeding it to others. And I write about the healing of a traumatic experience that I write about early in the book when I was 9 years old, right? Don't have the time to get into that, right? Because we only have about 23 minutes. But I'm here to say, and just thank you, Rejoiceful Ray, for bringing that up, that we can be the catalyst to our own healing. Because you know what's going to happen in your leadership journey? You know, I showed you earlier the Muhammad Ali victorious picture, the iconic picture of him standing over Sonny Liston. But guess what? This is going to happen. And somebody in the group, I think it was, is it Resilient Rayon? Was that you, Resilient Rayon? Was that your affirmation in your title? Well, there's somebody in the room is the resilient one. And God, I wish that you have as many days as possible as that Muhammad Ali image standing victoriously over his foe. But guess what? In your leadership journey, you're gonna get knocked on your ass. On your leadership journey, you're gonna take some hits. This is Muhammad Ali in 1971 in what they called the fight of the century. This is Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier in Madison Square Garden, March 5th, 1971. This is only his third fight after returning to boxing after his title being stripped because he refused to fight in the Vietnam War. And in the 15th round of this fight, Joe Frazier just hit Muhammad Ali with a left hook that his ancestors felt in Africa. Muhammad Ali, laying on the canvas, had every reason to not get up. This image right here is more iconic to me than that victorious picture because Muhammad Ali got up. He demonstrated resiliency. And so your leadership journey, your I2M America journey will be predicated on how do you bounce back from a setback. I talk about in the 7 C's of deep end leadership in the change part of the C of change. It's not how far you fall, it's how high you bounce, right? And even as I'm sharing that, okay, Shawn, how do you combine those two workshops, right? And so you guys are just giving me an idea, right? So what I'm going to do, I just said I left behind, although I still do it, the 7 C's. But now the idea that I just got while doing this workshop, combine the 7 C's of deep end leadership with your new I2M America leadership. Take the old and the new and combine them. Because what I said earlier is, yes, there's no cavalry coming. We are the iconic leaders that we have been waiting for, the curators of the change we're seeking to see. We're the curators of the change we're seeking to see. That tells me that, you know what? We have everything that we need. How do we just curate everything that we have? All the relationships, all the resources, all the ideas. I would tell you in my journaling and in my meditation and my prayers, God has said to me, no, I'm not giving you any new ideas. You curate and you manifest and you build on everything that I've already given you. And just in this moment, in real time, I said, oh, I want to combine those two workshops. And you're going to see, if I'm invited back next January, the combination of the 7 C's of Deep End Leadership and I Too Am America. I don't know what I want to call it, but it's going to be a combination of that. So I'm excited. I've just gotten everything that I need, and more than I'm sure I've given from this session. And so I want to hear from a couple more voices. We got about, and I do have a close, but I need to hear from you. And I want to just, thank you again, Rejoiceful Raina, because you triggered something inside of me. You cannot pour from an empty cup. We have to work harder on ourselves than we do on our jobs, our relationships, our missions. Work harder on ourselves than we do on that, and keep refilling our cups. I need one more courageous voice to share with the rest of the group.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Isabel. Thank you so much. That this wonderful workshop was inspired us today. Thank you. And I would like to read some message from the students. James Harden said, "It's our song when you take the time from your busy schedule to inspire the younger generation, and what we learn that experience in your journey. It's never too late to learn new things. Thank you so much," he says. Rhea Frankie says, "Thank you so much for sharing your journey. Your life is a ray of life, an inspiration to continue to want to make the change. I cannot wait to read your book." Judy Powell says, "It's not how many times you fail, but that you rise, how you rise." Thank you so much for this wonderful message. And thank you so much for this wonderful workshop. I love it.
Thank you, Isabel. You blessed me with sharing that. And I want to ask Jason, can you send me the chat transcript, right? Because that's going to bless me. And I do this thing called Thank You Thursdays. Every thank you, and I challenge the folks on my team to send 5 gestures of thank you to folks in the network, whether it's a card, it's an email, it's a call, or a sports signal, a smoke signal, because gratitude is a superpower. And I want to share those thank yous with my network, because those are a blessing to me. So thank you so much. I want to kind of move into the closing. And what we have here today is a leadership gold. And leaders are readers. If you want to expand your leadership capacity and your knowledge, read. Be hungry. Be a hungry reader. And one of my leadership books is called Heroic Leadership by Chris Lowney. And there's a quote in there that says, "Leaders imagine an inspiring future and strive to shape it rather than passively watching the future happen around them. Heroes extract gold from the opportunities at hand rather than waiting for golden opportunities to be handed to them." God, I gotta say that again. If not for you, I gotta say it for me. Heroes extract gold from the opportunities at hand rather than waiting for golden opportunities to be handed to them. And that's from Heroic Leadership. And my challenge for you is to discover your G-spot and become a gold digger. You all have a leadership G-spot, And I'm not talking about the G spot that some of you may be thinking that I am talking about. Your G spot is your gift spot. Your G spot is your great spot. Your G spot is your genius spot. Your G spot for some of you might be your genius spot. I grew up, and still I'm a basketball junkie, but I grew up watching Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he had a G spot that was his hook shot. It was called the sky hook. Somebody taught Kareem to perfect that hook, and he used that hook as his G spot, his gold spot. That this brought him riches, and he's still the highest scorer in the NBA history. And we all have a gift spot, a genius spot. For you, it might be organizing. It might be public speaking. It might be your passion for seniors. It might be graphic design. It might be music. You have got to discover your G spot. And I just discovered my G spot for writing and for speaking. I talked earlier about going to the prep school after Brooklyn Tech for my junior year of high school. I was away from my my homeboys back in the city. I was trying new things. And I said, let me take this poetry class. This was back in 1978 before Rapper's Delight just came out, right? And the Sugar Hill Gang. And it wasn't as cool as it is now to be reciting poetry in my circles. But I took this poetry class and we would get poetry assignments. And I remember coming into class and reciting my poetry and the class would clap. And I would look around, I was like, who are they clapping for? Mrs. Carlson, known as Mrs. C, who I am still in touch with, she became a mentor of mine. She said, they're clapping for you, Shawn. I was a poet and I didn't even know it. And up until that point, I derived confidence and a sense of belief from my basketball skills, from my corner jump shot. That was my sense of confidence. And in that poetry class, with me having the courage to speak out loud and share my poetry, well, it was my assignment, right? I was like, oh, I have other gifts. I have another G spot. I have another gold. I have other gold inside of me to dig. And so my challenge for all of you, my I to America challenge is to discover your G spot and become a gold digger. And I want to conclude this conversation, this session, this stream of consciousness, this workshop, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call it. I'll call it something afterward, with this poem called Gold. And I dedicate it to Mrs. Carlson, but I also dedicate it to all the mentors, the teachers, the coaches, the therapists, all the folks that believed in me and worked with me and helped me extract the gold inside of me. And it goes like this. If ever there was a time for you to dig deep within, it is now, if only you would decide and begin. Mining your soul for your buried gold is why you are here, so dig deep and be bold. It is your purpose, your divine mission. It is your calling, so just get still and listen. And you will hear an oh so sweet sound telling you where your gold can be found. And you would be wise to not let another moment fly by, as the day will come when you will surely die. Then the question for you will resoundingly be, did you dig deep for your gold for the world to see? Mining your soul for your buried gold is why you are here. So dig deep and be bold. And so I want to thank you for inviting me and for having me be a part of this year's workshop. My quick closing slides, I don't have time, but I have to sow this seed, is there was a line in the poem that says, and you will hear an oh so sweet sound telling you where your gold can be found. And you would be wise to not let another moment fly by, as the day will come when you'll surely die. Then the question for you will resigningly be, did you dig deep for your gold for the world to see? We have no control over the day that we were born. We all have a born and a birth date. Mine was September 25th, 1962. We don't know when we are leaving, but we do have control over that dash in the middle. And right now you are standing in that dash. You are standing in the middle of those two dates, right? I will tell you, mine is not a straight line. It's an up and down with a lot of peaks and valleys. Sidney Poitier just passed last week. We're almost 2 years from the anniversary when Kobe Bryant passed away. We named so many people in the beginning who have passed away. 19 people died last week in the fire in the Bronx. There are people that were grateful to make it into 2022 that didn't make it to today. And so I don't put this image to end with a sense of being morbid. I put this image in front of you for you to be inspired to live your legacy. I had a leadership coach that had me do an assignment and to write my own eulogy. I was like, what? He's like, write your own eulogy because you are going to die. And what is it that you want said about you at your eulogy? You speak that into existence. And that was one of the most important things that I did. And it's time to do it again. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. So I wanted just to bring that and that image that you have to be a gold digger because someone's life epilogue is going to be dependent upon your eulogy. Somebody's going to hear your eulogy and decide, because of how you lived your leadership life, that there is something more for them to do. There is an epilogue to their own story. And I just close with, this is my image as a community builder and creating spaces where there's loving, learning, and leading. And that's my image. And so thank you. I want to stop my screen share so I can see your faces. We got about 5 minutes. If there are any questions, Jason, I want to remind you to please send me the transcript of the chat. I'm done.
So, Shawn, I've been fighting a cold all week, but thank you so much. And the one thing I'll say is, you know, every year you come, every year we've shared this January experience, you've always inspired me. And if nobody else was inspired in the room, I think a lot of people were inspired in the room. I think maybe you got to the heart of everything that we've been talking about this week, and I think a lot of people probably just are sort of like really sort of taking everything to heart right now. But for me, you inspire me. You make me think about the choices that I have to make every single day, and as a leader, as a mentor, as a citizen, as a dad, as a husband. And when we started this, I wasn't a dad and a husband. I was doing some of those other things. So I appreciate you for your mentorship through these engagements and giving me ideas. Every time we've given birth to a child, I think about the Shawn Dove stories about how your children were born, how you shared that with our group. But and I'm also super proud for you, proud to be associated with you. So happy when the book was announced, that the book is finished, that the book is out there, and we are going to buy some copies of the book and give them out to some folks who are here today. I know the passion that you had to make that a reality. I know the work that you put in. I know it's a demanding thing because I won't call myself now a writer, but I was a writer myself, and so I I totally appreciate it, and I appreciate you making time for us to come back in January and share your wisdom, your grace, your insights, and your gold with us. Because every year that you've done it, it's left an impression on people. And I always hear it after the fact. There's always somebody who reflects with me about a Shawn Dove workshop, a Shawn Dove experience, you talking to them even outside of this format or the format that we ran when we were in, pre-pandemic. And so thank you for all of that. And I wish you much success with the book. I wish you much success on your continued journey, on your continued efforts. That's the first time I saw you with the three guys on the stoop. After, right? We've always seen the one before.
Yeah.
So, I love that. So continued success with your brotherhood, with the people who you're working with and you inspire, and the people you motivate and the people who motivate you. I know, if all of you who are here today, you follow Shawn on LinkedIn, on Facebook, however you can. He's always posting stuff about the work that he's doing, always posting inspirational messages, always posting things to think about. And so I always look at those things every day when I see you posting. I sometimes share it. I shared something this morning. I always appreciate what you share to the community because it's a value to me and it is an inspiration to me. And I know it's been an inspiration to our group. So thank you so much, Shawn. I really appreciate it. Let's give him like a virtual real applause, however it goes. I don't know, in this virtual world.
At the same time, I'm important.
Thanks, Shawn.
And I do have to run to my next, I had a 12 that I told him I won't be joining into 12:05. But Jason, I want to just say that I love you, brother. It's been beautiful watching your growth as well. Like you shared, you were a single and you were not a father. And over these years, our journeys have expanded. And thank you for believing in me and inviting me to share what I have when folks didn't believe in me. And I want you to know that that means a lot to me. That's why when you call me, I'm coming and I'm saying yes if I'm able to. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Great.
Take care, everybody. Okay. All right. Thank you, Shawn. Good luck. Thank you, guys, everybody. We'll see you this afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for being here.